And I'm going to go ahead and get started. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Janis Strutt. I am the co-founder and executive director of Morgan's Caring Connection, where we provide peace of mind through essential planning to secure people's futures for their special needs dependents and for themselves. So tonight I'm going to share about us, how we got started, what we do, how we can offer support to, whoever wants it. And of course, at the end, open it up to questions. So that way, if anybody has any questions, more than happy to answer them. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with that. Okay, so Morgan is our middle daughter, and Morgan was born with spina bifida and hydrocephalus. She was 25 years old. She unexpectedly passed October 15th of 2023. And basically this inspired us to figure out a way to pay it forward to other families and dedicate our time to anybody that wants help and support. Sorry, I apologize. There's more people popping in. And so after she passed away, we had a lot of conversations about the struggles and the challenges that we had in 25 years. And we thought, what a better legacy than to pay it forward to other families. So what we did was we looked at, like I mentioned, the challenges that we had, and what came out of this was our mission, empowering families, securing futures, and providing peace of mind. And our vision is a world where every family raising a special needs dependent has access to essential planning, lifelong security, and lasting peace of mind. A little bit about our journey. So Morgan passed, as I mentioned, October 15, 2023. We had several months of conversations about what we could do. And so in February, we decided to go, maybe we'll give this a go and see what comes of it. And then we hired an attorney to file for our 501c3. And then we established a board, and then that was all by the end of March. And a week later, it was very apparent to me that I could not have a full-time job and do this at the same time. So I pulled the trigger and walked into my job and resigned. So I've been doing this full-time now since April of 2024. And then in August of 2024, we had our first fundraising event. We raised just shy of $16,000. We awarded our first grant on 2 days before that to one of the families in our spina bifida network. And we used the $2,400 that was donated to Morgan's services to pay for that grant. And then in October 24, we were awarded our 501c3. We were awarded a Best Nonprofit Award out in Las Vegas, which was pretty cool. And then where we are kind of, into 2025, we had raised just shy of $50,000 in 2024. So into February, we had exceeded that point. We had awarded 6 grants by then. We helped more than 50 families secure proper legal planning for their loved ones in some way, shape, or form. I like to explain to people that we help families statewide. We have attorneys all over the state. And that's our primary focus, is the estate planning piece of things, because that's really what provides peace of mind. But about 75% of the families that come to us don't come to us for the funding. They come to me for the connections with our professional network, which is what I'm going to go over a little bit later. And we don't charge anything for any of our services. In September 2025, we had reached $225,000 in funding and helped over 100 families. By December, we awarded our 20th grant. Our goal in 2025 was to award 5 grants. You can see that we more than exceeded that. The need is there. It's just I'm only one person, and the only way I can pay for this is to go out and raise the money. So I feel like we're in a really good place with that. It was a big milestone for us. Just so you know where we are today, we already have 6 families that are approved for grants that are working with families. And we're working with them to get their estate planning done. Our 3 programs that we feel are our pillars is the vetted professionals that we have. I have personally, along with a committee, vetted more than 60 professionals in a myriad of different professions. Again, keeping in mind that we focus on the estate planning piece. So estate planning attorneys, financial advisors, bankers, insurance agents, and then we get into other services and support like contractors of all different kinds, from remodeling to handyman services, painting, and then we have all other kinds of service like advocacy, people that work with the autism community, the Down syndrome community, advocacy. I mean, you pretty much you name it. I feel like we've got a pretty good handle on that right now. We're always looking to expand that. And typically I find out that information when I'm working with a family and they say I could really use help with X. And then I go out and see if there's some way that we can connect them with somebody that can support them. The second piece that we always struggled with was education. So here we are today. This is a new program. This has come out of a very organic way of working with other for and nonprofits. And so I've been working, this was like kind of like my dream in the beginning was, is there a way that we can reach families, especially in the more rural areas, to help them get the resources and education that they need. So we also have empowerment videos, or that's what we call them, on our website, where I interview a professional with some questions. We video it. We keep it relatable. We also keep it under 30 minutes because I feel like that's something that is attainable for parents. And the great thing is it's accessible 24/7, 365. So again, I know from being a parent with special needs dependent that our timeline isn't always the most convenient for everybody else and vice versa. So I found that education was something that was kind of frustrating because it was either at a place that was inconvenient, at a time that was inconvenient, or they simply wanted us to set aside too much time that we just couldn't. Maybe we couldn't get respite. Maybe we couldn't leave the house, whatever it was. So I want to, I wanted to find a way to make things accessible to anybody at any time. And then finally, with the vetted professionals and the education part of our nonprofit, it was like, well, okay, if we're going to do this, that's fine and great. If we're going to focus on the essential part of the estate planning, not all families can afford it, right? Can't afford the legal fees. There are no, not that we're aware of, there's no funding out there that pays the legal fees. We know that there's WISPACT, we know there's Life Navigators. I'm sure there's other bits and pieces. But the bottom line is nobody's doing things the way we're doing it and what we're doing. And that is when a family comes to us and they need us to pay the legal fees for their estate planning, I don't care what that looks like. I don't care what you need. It is completely between you and the attorney that you're working with in our network. But I want to make sure that you get what you need to have peace of mind. And then the other piece is, it's ongoing support. So I don't just provide a connection with somebody and expect you to figure it all out. And I found that that was something that happened to us a lot when we were getting support from other programs that we were in or nonprofits, is they would give me a pretty brochure and say, good luck. And I hope you can advocate for yourself. And so, being somebody who understands all of that, I support you in any way, shape, or form that I can until we've exhausted everything and you really don't have anything else that you need help with. So as I mentioned, our education webinar program just started. This is our first one. I have one scheduled every single month except December. I'm hoping to get that one locked in soon, but this is just a little bit of a preview of how this is going to roll out. So Dara Johnson Tracy is going to be giving a webinar in February on the 17th, where you can learn about estate planning for special needs. And this isn't like, this is more like, when do you hire an attorney? Why would you hire an attorney? A lot of people don't understand that estate planning isn't for people necessarily that have wealth or money. This is about protecting our families. So what does all of that look like? When should you hire an attorney? Just the ins and outs of that. And then Carrie Water-Schmidt is going to follow that up in March with a webinar about the 529 ABLE accounts, because there's been a lot of changes with that. And people often say to me, I got an inheritance, or my dependent has money and we don't know what to do with it, so they don't lose their SSI benefits. So we're going to go into things that relate to that. And then, as you can see, we just keep going from there. April, we bring back Dara to talk about guardianship. Again, when do you hire an attorney for guardianship when you're going to petition? If you, are there other options out there? And just so many other things. What's the cost look like? What's the timeline? A lot of things that we just didn't even know answers to. In May, we're going to do some tax planning and financial literacy. And then, like I said, we're just going to run through this. And I will have a page on my website, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, where we'll be able to roll all this out, where people can just jump in. We're going to ask for registration going forward, just so we kind of have an idea of who's attending these sessions. In 2025, just to kind of give you an idea, we raised over $300,000. Just so everybody kind of has an idea how much we rely on our community, only $18,250 was from grants, and $15,000 of that came in December. So we really, really depend on our community. We've now helped over 100 families and awarded over 20 grants. And this is just a little idea of, this is the first grant that we awarded, and just kind of what they said, that we've given them the resources to be prepared for the unexpected. And they're so grateful. They appreciated the help along their journey. A lot of people come to me and they think that the estate planning piece is the only piece we provide. This is a good example of this. When I say I support you through any part of the process or anything that you need, this is an example of what I provided a family, the Wolfmeyer family. She initially came to me for the estate planning grant, where we got her the trust that she needed, which included special needs trusts for two of her daughters, power of attorney paperwork. They did guardianship for their older daughter. They're actually going to apply for another grant, probably a year and a half. And then we're going to do guardianship on their younger daughter. So we'll pay the legal fees for that. I connected her to a financial advisor because she needed life insurance. She also needed an ABLE account set up for money so that they wouldn't lose their SSI. I connected her with somebody who was able to help her get $1,000 in medical debt forgiven. They moved here from out of state, so they were working with Wells Fargo and they didn't have any kind of relationship with the bank. So I connected her with a banker who could help her, because if you haven't done the work to set things up specifically for special needs, you'll find out very quickly that there are a lot of specific things that you need to know to make sure that everything aligns properly, so that you don't jeopardize your funding for SSI or SSDI, or make sure that your dependents are set up for long-term success. I also connected her with a disability quality life coach. which support her in help support her in daily her in daily challenges. I often explain to people I'm more the macro, the big picture. I do the estate planning, the long-term planning. This particular woman, Pam, helps people. I call it like a micro level. So the daily stuff. What do you need help with today? And quite honestly, for some parents, that's a lot, and that's okay. But we need people like this in our, I call it our team. So I help people create that as well. She mentioned that she had some issues with some tax stuff, and she needed some ongoing guidance to make sure that she's doing her taxes properly. So I connected her with a CPA. She also called me and said, uh, my daughter, I'd like to do her senior pictures, but I'm not comfortable with hiring just anybody because I'm not sure how they're going to be with my daughter. And so I connected her with a photographer who was more than happy to do her senior pictures and their family pictures. So this hopefully gives you a little bit of an idea of the kind of support that we wanted as a family that I feel like a lot of parents want as well. A majority of the families that we work with are single moms who are low income, but it doesn't matter to me. You can come to me whether you need funding support or not, because I know that to find the right people that you can trust that are going to do things the right way is really super important. So I want to make sure that I get you in touch with the right people. How can you get involved with us if you want to? A lot of parents ask us about that too. Not so much the donating and the sponsorship, but volunteering, sharing things like this with people, promoting Morgan's Caring Connection. The bottom line is not everybody will ever know about us. But anytime somebody can share who we are with somebody else, that's 9 times out of 10 how people find out about us. It's word of mouth. Recently, I'm in a networking group, and someone piped up that they need help with a friend of theirs who's really struggling right now. She put me in touch with her through her permission, and I'm working with her right now as well. So a lot of that is just about who you know. And the bottom line for me is I really want to promote being proactive, not reactive. I can't tell you how many families that I worked with in the last year and a half that are in panic mode. And that's not where we want people to be. The other thing, too, is a lot of people ask me about our circumstances, and we happen to have all of our estate planning in place, but we didn't plan for Morgan to pass away. And we should be preparing for that, which is not a conversation that I want to have with anybody. But in our case specifically, our daughter was complex medical, and we should have thought about that. She was uninsurable at birth, so we had no life insurance. When she passed away, we both took a month off of work, which not all employers support. We had to think about the decisions that we had to make that we were not prepared for, and including an obituary and funeral planning. We had a very conservative funeral, and it still cost us $25,000. So I like to have those proactive conversations with parents that we want to do whatever we can to help you get peace of mind that you're taken care of and that your loved ones are taken care of when you no longer can. The other thing too is a lot of people ask us what we do for our events. Well, we've been going through some change because in the beginning you don't really know what's going to work or what isn't going to work. My other dream when I got started was a conference. So April 26th of this year, we are going to have our first conference at Badger Prairie Needs Network in Verona at the Cachetta Center, where we're going to have four presentations, and it's a 3-hour event. If you're in the CLTS program, it is there. You can get it paid for. It's $25. If you want lunch, it's $35. Texas Roadhouse is going to be our caterer for that day or for that event. And the purpose of this is to be very, very intentional. I want to provide an environment where parents and guardians can come and have a conversation with professionals. We've got rooms set aside so that people can have private conversations if they need to. You can set appointments if you so choose to, whatever that looks like, so that you can start talking to people about your long-term plans. And then, of course, we love it when families can come out and support us so we can continue to support the people in our community. So we are doing a golf event this year. And then what's really important to me is to make sure that we do something with families. So we are going to have our first Gather and Grow Family Festival, where anybody can come. It will be fully accessible. We'll have a band. We're going to have food. We're going to have all kinds of kids activities. But that's the other big event that we're going to have next or this year. And then last but not least, how can you get a hold of us or find any information out about us? We post a lot on Facebook. That seems to be the playground that I play in the most. That kind of falls into Instagram as well. We do a little bit on LinkedIn. I try to be pretty good about that, but I'm only one person. I do this by myself and with our volunteers. So I will do whatever I can to stay present on LinkedIn as well. So I'd like to just kind of open this up to questions. I know that there's a lot of things that I didn't cover, but I find out a lot that people have questions, and I find that that's a good place for us to go to next. Does anybody have any questions? Anyone? Nobody?
I have a question.
Yes.
Um, what is the best way to like begin, I guess, starting this process or just like, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question.
I feel
And
like,
this
yeah.
is one of the things I've done so many presentations. I forget which things I have in it and what I don't. So I will make sure to put that in here next time. Yes, the application process. So let's talk a little bit about the grant funding. So we used to do it where you could apply, and then every single month we would approve the applications and then continue the process from there. That got to be a little bit much. So what we're doing now is we're doing it quarterly. You can go to our website at any time and fill out an application because they are first come, first serve. We uh, will do our next round of grant funding after our April board meeting. We let's see, we're at 6 grants already this year. Again, our goal is 20, but if I can keep raising money to do it, we'll keep going. Once you apply, part of the application process is you have to give us proof of income because we are on sliding scale. So if it might be that we give 100% of the funding, it might be that it's 25%, 50%. So it's 0 to 100% based on income. And then we ask everybody to provide a little story about why it's important to you, as well as a picture. Let me be clear that we're not looking for this to be something where we're broadcasting this to people in an invasive way. The reason that we ask for this is we really rely on our community, and what they want is transparency. People want to see who they're helping. They want to know where their money is going. So we have a web page, family. It's www.familysupportgivingfund.org. You can go on there. You can apply there as well, and you can see what we're doing and how we put the picture and the your story on there so that people can see where their funding is going. I do have a family right now, in full transparency, that they don't want to disclose who their dependent is. And that's fine. Again, we don't want to do this in an invasive way, but we feel like it's important for people to know. Once we get the application and I take it to the board and it's approved, then what we do is start the process really. And that's where we start introducing you to the attorney that will be helping you. And through that process, we then at the end ask, and again, we don't make anybody do anything they don't want to do, but we've asked that since there needs to be two witnesses at every estate planning signing, that we ask if we can be there. I've been at every single one of them so far as a witness, and then we typically will take a picture that we can post on social media and put in our newsletter so that people know, again, what the outcome is. Um, let me take one step back. In between the application and the approval, I schedule an interview with you because, of course, there's only so much information I can get on paper. I like to have a conversation with you so that I really get a full picture of what you need to make sure that we can accommodate it. Not only that, there might be other things that are pressing that you might need right now. I'll give you an example of that. A woman that I'm working with right now called me and said, I really, really need some help, but I am trying to get my son approved for SSI. I have an interview with them on middle of February. I'm having issues with that. And so I put her in touch with somebody that hopefully could help her with that process. So, like I'll get something like that, or I'll get something else that might be urgent, or I'll put them in touch with somebody that can help them with advocacy work, or you name it. But we try to, from that conversation, prioritize things that you might need help with sooner rather than later, or things that we wait until after the estate planning process is done, and then prioritize and start going through that list. And the main reason being is because the estate planning process is very overwhelming. I'm not going to lie, you're making big decisions. And so I want to make sure that you're really focused on that so we can get through it in a timely fashion. It typically takes, I've seen them as long as 7, 8 months, and I've done them in as soon as 5 weeks. So it's really up to the family. Of course, the attorney, their schedule rolls into that as well. But we like to try to keep the ball rolling and have an estate plan done within 3 months. So then that way, when the next round of funding is approved, then I'm only working with a small handful of families at a time instead of all 20 families at a time. I think that's really about it. Did I answer your question enough? Do you have any other questions I could clarify?
Well, I'm wondering, like, what if you're not ready at all for the process of estate planning and there's just several barriers that are in the way? And, like, what would that even look like for this situation? And, like, because I know you're a busy person, you said you're doing a lot of this on your own with some volunteers. Um, so I see you don't have a phone number up or anything. Is that something you could just email to the info?
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? And again, one of those things, I did not put a phone number on here. You can always call. Honestly, email's the easiest thing for me because I can keep track of it. When I get voicemails, a lot of times I forget about them because I listen to it and then I forget to return the call. So email is by far the best way. I will tell you this, when you say that you've got barriers or you're not ready, that's fine. Please feel free to inquire with me. Let's set a time to have a phone call because you may find that I can help you with some of those barriers or some of, the things that you feel are keeping you from doing it. Not always necessarily, but typically, I think a lot of it comes down to things just being really overwhelming. And I have found that because of the support that I can provide, it can bring the stress of that down a little bit. And I find that we tend to get the ball rolling a little sooner than anticipated. Again, no rush, not pushing whenever you decide, but please do reach out to me, set it, let's schedule a time to talk. Let me get to know you a little bit better and try to support you in any way that I can.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Definitely haven't gotten very far with basically any route, so it would be
Well,
good.
the thing is, you know what? Here's the thing. A lot of people come to me and they say, "Well, when do you do your estate planning?" And I, I don't know. It just came out one day where I said, "You know what? It's never too early, but it can be too late." And the only reason I say that is because nobody knows definitively when that day is going to be, whether something happens to us where we can no longer care for our dependents, or like in our case, the opposite happened. And so I'd rather you be proactive and let me help you try to get where you need to be, even if it's just starting to do the research so that you can start teeing this up for the future. But the reality is it can be too late. So don't hesitate to reach out to me so that I can start helping support you in any way that I can. Really, it's not a problem.
I really appreciate that. I'll definitely be reaching out to you.
Does anybody else have any other? Oh, you know what? Can you guys still see? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Um, so somebody asked, so to start any services, you'd need to fill out an application. No, no, you don't have to fill out an application to get things started. It typically it starts with a conversation. I tell people though, if you're thinking of doing getting help with the legal fees to pay for your grant funding or to pay for your estate plan, the sooner you apply, the better because it's first come, first serve. I will share that I've been in unique circumstances. I was working with a woman like October of 24. Then come December, she was living with her ex-husband, of course, as some do. Not exactly the most ideal situation, but they were doing it to care for their son. He came home one day and said, "You guys got to go. You got to go, get out." And she called me in a panic because we were in the middle of doing her estate plan. I said, "You know what? Let's just pause everything. You need to get through what you get through, and then let's circle back around when your feet are planted and you're ready to move forward." She was very forthcoming coming. I understand that things happen. Like, I came from that world. All I ask for is communication. So things happen during the process. I've had a couple of parents that literally were just procrastinating, and that doesn't work for me. And the reason being is because I got other families that are waiting, that are willing to do the work and get it done. So I set all the expectations up front. If there's anything that you're not comfortable with, you don't have to proceed. But I feel like we're really understanding and we're really giving in this situation with understanding what you're going through. Um, I will tell you that we do not pay the legal fees to you, the parents or guardians. We pay the provider, the legal professional. We never want to jeopardize anybody's funding or anything. And I was asked any estate or range for how much the legal fees. Yeah, absolutely. So the average for us, we found that the average grant is $3,500. But it varies. It really does. I've had them as low as $900. I've had them over $5,000. So our average is around $3,500. You also have to keep in mind that there's no two the same. I'm working with a woman right now who needs an estate plan for herself, which includes also a special needs trust for her son, power of attorney paperwork. But she also has a daughter who's considered disabled. And so we're going to do an estate plan for her as well, and a special needs trust. And all that is rolled into our funding. Again, we don't know what we don't know until you guys get in there and start doing the work with the attorney. And every scenario is different. I want everybody to know, don't use that as a barrier because we'll do whatever it takes to make sure that you get what you need. That's why we do things the way that we do, is because I want to make sure that every parent or guardian walks away knowing I've got everything taken care of so we can sleep at night. Somebody else had a question for families who don't need the financial support but would like some advice, referrals, etc. 100%. You can go to our website and reach out to people directly. Again, what I typically find is having a conversation with me can help mitigate your research that you have to do to figure out who would be the right fit for you for what. So again, it's entirely up to you. We have a professional network that's on our website. We have a resource directory that's on our website that really covers like any disability. When I talk about grant funding, I should mention that this is for individuals like our daughter Morgan who would never become independent, right? So people that can't make decisions for themselves financially, day-to-day care, that kind of thing. I tell people all the time, just because you have a disability, maybe you're in a wheelchair, doesn't mean that you can't make your own decisions. So that's what we really, really focus on is the individuals who will not become independent. And hopefully that answers that question. Anybody else have any other questions? Does anybody have any topics right off the bat? I mean, and I can go back. Does anybody have any topics that I didn't list here? So we talk about, and when I say life insurance and durable medical equipment, what I mean here is a lot of people think that their dependents are not insurable. So I want people to understand that that's not necessarily the case. I did find somebody who, that when Jason presents, he has an insurance company that does guaranteed insurability for like 6 or 8 other ages in someone's life. So in the event things get worse or change, they're guaranteed insurability, which means they don't have to go through underwriting or anything like that. So, when I talk about life insurance, I think that's super important. If for nothing else, to cover funeral expenses in the event they were to pass. Durable medical equipment, I did not think about that. We had our own daughter in a wheelchair for 25 years. By the way, I'm a licensed insurance agent. Never even thought about it. And I thought, oh, well, I don't know, if something happens to Morgan's wheelchair, our insurance company will replace it. That is far from the case. So, how do you insure durable medical equipment? She was also on a BiPAP. We'd carry that with us on the plane. One time we left it on the plane. But that's not covered under our homeowners or our renters insurance. It requires a different kind of insurance or coverage through your insurance. So in July, we're going to talk about navigating education through IEPs and 504s. In August, we're going to talk about SSI, SSDI, and Medicaid. Um, September, we're going to do an overview for transition, what's after high school. We've got in October, Autism Consulting Services in Milwaukee is going to cover limit setting, positive behavior management, communication, and relational strategies. In November, we're going to cover retirement planning for parents of loved ones with special needs, specifically related to retirement readiness. And then in December, I've got one open, so I'm looking for ideas. If somebody's got anything specifically that they're looking for, I'd be more than happy to plug that into December. Um, let's see. Our financial advisors suggested we reach out to advisors to help make a quality of life plan. They gave us the name of one organization, but I'm wondering if something like that is part of your networking and can help us with that. Quality of life plan. Not sure what that means. Not gonna lie. But I'd be more than happy to reach out to some of our advisors to see if that's something that they know about. I do work with, just so you know, all the advisors in our network either have certain special designations specifically related to special needs, or they have their own personal experience, like a sibling or a child that has special needs. Same thing with the estate planning. So I would be more than happy to reach out and see if anybody has any feedback for something like that. But again, reach out to me and keep giving me ideas.
Janice, I'm not sure. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Well, first of all, I just have to thank you because my husband and I have been going through the estate planning with Dira, and it's just remarkably professional. It's fast. It's the top tier. So
Thank you.
thank you for that.
You bet.
And the thing that I wanted to ask you about is uh, our daughter's 30 and
Mhm.
she really likes to be very busy, which is great, except that mom is in charge of everything that goes along with that, the transportation, the setting up of the schedules, and it happens every quarter. And I'm 68 years old and I'm forgetting things lately. So I'm wondering, there used to be a category of people called brokers, and you could hire them to do this kind of work for, and I have been given a few names, and when I call them, I don't get calls back, and I'm not even sure that they're still available. Do you have anything like that?
So here's the thing. Um, are you talking about support brokers like through um like a case manager, or are you talking about, can you tell me more specifically, Kim, what
Well,
you're
and that's a good question, and I'm pretty sure that Iris does support financially you getting a broker.
Mhm.
I know that we no more budget amendments for us. We're maxed out. So I'm really more looking on a personal level to hire someone. And it is like Arts for All. She does the choir, Feist on the west side of town. She does at least 2 or 3 classes there a week. The transportation, the coordination and organization just doesn't end.
Mhm.
And if I could hire someone to do that for me, my life would be a dream.
Well, I can tell you this. I haven't found anything like that. I think that unfortunately, I'm the only person I know that comes even close to something like that.
Okay.
Um, but it doesn't mean that they're not out there. I just honestly don't even know where to start to find them.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of
Well,
people, and I don't want to make excuses or anything, but if you're in a managed care program like CLTS or IRIS or something like that, everybody, they have a case manager, and I hear over and over again, they're not very supportive. We don't get answers, we don't get guidance. And
right.
I'm not trying to make excuses. I feel like everybody's overwhelmed, underpaid, overworked. But again, if I can help like fit into that gap, I'll do whatever I can to help you, Kim.
I know you have been fabulous. I am
Thank,
so grateful.
thank you.
We are so grateful.
Thank
So
you.
thank you for that.
You bet. We'll continue our conversation offline
Okay.
anyway, because
Sounds good.
I'm more than happy to help you out, Kim. Somebody
Yeah.
did ask if the presentation will be available for download. I tell you what, that is not something I'd thought about. If anybody wants to drop their email in the chat, I would be more than happy to shoot it over to you in an email. I'm noticing like a couple people brought up a couple things in my presentation. I'll go ahead and make those tweaks here, like adding a phone number and stuff. But I would be more than happy to send out anything to anybody that they want. Um, any other questions or anything that anybody has with the time that we have left? Okay. So with that, oh, I did get another email here. I want to grab those.
I
If
have a
anybody has any,
question too.
yeah, absolutely.
Sorry.
No,
Hi,
no.
Janice. My name is Gina. I am just wondering, so
if we were to, like, if any of us were to reach out and send you an email, is your turnaround time to like get back in touch fairly quick, or should we expect like a delay? I do a lot of, I guess, what I've always described as secretarial things. I'm a live-in caregiver to my son.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I'm tracking tons of who's calling me back, who's this. For me personally, it's always good to kind of have an idea of those things so I can kind of, I don't know, expect them, I guess, or plan them in.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a great question. I know I've said a couple of times I'm only one person. For those of
Right.
the people who do know me, I'm kind of a little crazy about making sure I get back to people very quickly. With some kind of something. I got your email, here are next steps. I got your phone call, here are next steps. Let's schedule a time to talk. Typically, what I find is if somebody emails me, I can respond pretty quickly in some way, shape, or form. It's the phone calls that I find the hardest because I'm in meetings and talking to people and out and about doing community outreach, you name it. I like to schedule a time to talk, and not just for me, but for you as well. And the reason being is you hit it perfectly. You are doing what you're doing all the time, and it might not be a good time for you just because it's a good time for me. So I like to extend then the opportunity to talk to you one on one at a time when it's convenient for you. I've talked to people in the evenings. I've talked to people on the weekends. I try not to do too much of that because I'm trying to get better about balance. But the bottom line is to answer your question, I'll get back to you very quickly in some way, shape, or form to let you know I've received your inquiry and what next steps would be.
Okay, that's good to know. Because yeah, the phone tag is a real thing.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, and that's what I like about the other reason I like email, and I'm very clear about this when I'm talking to people. It's a great way for me to track my conversations because again, I'm working with so many people at one time, and it might be weeks or months before I talk to you again for whatever reason, and I like to make sure that I have some kind of a paper trail, and I'm really good about making myself notifications to check in, and if anything else, I probably do more of that than people expect. And I think it kind of takes them back a little bit. And they kind of, I don't want to say get nervous, but they're like, wow, you're really on top of things. I'm not used to this. So I don't want to set the bar too high for myself. But yes, I know what it's like to be in your shoes
Yeah,
and to not get answers and to play that phone tag. So I try to do the best I can to stay on top of that.
that's great. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet. Anybody else have any other questions? Even if it's just, not necessarily a normal question, whatever, I'm more than happy. It doesn't even have to be on something that I talked about today. Does anybody else have anything else?
I just wanted you to highlight on, like, do you do a lot more for families when their child or when their child is adult, transitioning to adulthood, or all ages?
I've helped people with kids as young as I think the youngest is 5, and I've helped I think the oldest adult was in their 60s, dependent. So, here's the thing. I that isn't what's important to me. What's important is about meeting you when you need, where you're at when you need the help that you need. So that's what's most important. We do have guidelines on our application. It says that we will award grants to people that are birth to 36, but we've done it outside the scope too. We do it on a case by case basis. We have to have different guidelines and requirements. However, the good news is I have a board. we understand the other side of it too, like myself. I'm 56 years old. If I had a brother or a sister that was special needs and my mom could no longer care for my brother or sister, well, they might be in their 50s or 60s at this point, and it becomes my responsibility, and then what? So again, I'm not really worried about that. Um, we just want to be where you are when you need us. Does that make sense?
Yes, very much so. Thank you for answering.
Yeah, you bet. Any other questions or anything I can answer for anybody?
It's just
Well,
such a complicated thing.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. You know what? That's a great thing to just kind of end this on, is that
Somebody
everything is
else was going to ask
very,
a question
it's
too.
very overwhelming. Everything is overwhelming. Today is overwhelming. This hour is overwhelming. Everything is overwhelming all the time. I use the phrase bandwidth all the time. Like, people, we don't have the bandwidth sometimes to even figure out today, let alone next week, next month, next year, 10 years from now. Um, but I promise you that the long-term piece of estate planning will be one of the single most biggest things that you ever do, that will give you the biggest peace of mind that you can have. And so I can tell you without a doubt that the support that I can provide you with, the professionals that can help you through it, it would be worth it. And when at least you're done with it, you have that peace of mind that if something does happen, you have something in place. So please try not to let that deter you. Again, reach out to me. I'm here. I'll do whatever I can to support you or put you in touch with the people who can help you. And on that note, if nobody has any questions, I'm going to say thank you all for attending. If you'd be so kind to either use the link below, which I could put in the I can put in the chat, um, or use the QR code and scan it to leave us a survey. It just helps us with gathering information so that I can help support you. And we make sure that we're getting you guys the information that you need. If there's, I even had a family come to me about adapting their daughter's vehicle. It'd been 10 years and they were like, we don't even know where to go and where to start with getting her a new car and making it adaptable. And I just went out, started making some phone calls, got somebody reputable on the phone, referred them over to them, and within a month they had a new vehicle. So, like, it's just, I know that it's not even always about not knowing, it's just you don't even have the time. So please don't hesitate to let me know how we can support you. And that's what keeps me going.
Well, God bless you, woman.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you all.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, please don't hesitate to reach out. Our website again is morganscc.org, and you can find us if you Google us, and feel free to reach out. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Thank you for your time.
Thanks,
Thank
Jen.
you for yours.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.